Hey, Laura, I've got some good news and some bad news.
Oh no, Luke. Hit me with the bad news first.
Well, 41% of employees plan to leave their jobs this year, according to a Mercer survey.
Oof, that is rough. What's the good news?
Well, good news is that companies with an engaged workforce are 21% more profitable, and companies that lead in customer experience have 60% more engaged employees, according to a State of the American Workforce Gallup study.
Wow, it's funny because it kind of makes sense. Because, when people are engaged, they're more productive, they're motivated, and they'll even stick around. They'll stay with the company.
Yeah, that's what Centrical's all about. They're on a mission to help companies worldwide create a culture of engagement where employees can continuously learn, develop, and in turn grow and thrive.
Hey, Luke, you know what happens when people thrive? The business thrives.
So where can we find out a little bit more about this? Personally, I'd go to www.centrical.com to learn more.
I'm Luke Jamison.
And I'm Laura Butvinik, and we totally geek out about employee experience.
We're on a mission to discover how putting employees at the center of your organization impacts business.
So join us as we dive in with thought leaders, employee experts, and the best experience creators.
This is Boost, a podcast proudly powered by Centrical.
Here are your hosts, Luke and Laura.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Boost.
We've got an amazing show for you lined up. Let's get our producer Jillian out here to let us know just who's joining us on the Boost stage. Hey Jillian.
Hi guys. Our guest on this episode is an incredible leader with so much knowledge to share with us. Lisa Dolan is the Senior Vice President of Employee Engagement and Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Teleperformance. Teleperformance has over, get this, 420,000 employees across the globe. So Lisa has some incredible insights to share with us around how to engage and retain a diverse workforce. That is so many employees. Lisa is so impressive. I cannot wait for you guys to have this conversation with her today. How are you feeling?
I am
feeling really
hyped.
Ready to go. Ready to rock.
What are you looking forward to asking her? What do you think you want to talk about?
Okay, I am really excited because she has such a tall order when you've got 420,000 employees, if I heard that number right. The question is really, how do you keep them engaged? Not only today, but also over time, so they stay with the company. I have no idea. I can't wait to ask her.
I'm really looking forward to the diversity, equity, and inclusion side of things. I think it's a really good baseline for companies to start with belonging. And I want to find out how Lisa is using that to create a sense of belonging with employees at Teleperformance.
I thought it was amazing that she has diversity, equity, and inclusion in her title. That's usually an initiative. I feel like it's rare to actually see it in a senior vice president title. So I think she's just going to share some great stuff with us today. So I'm very excited. Well, I know you two can take it from here. I hope you have a great show, and I'll see you backstage afterwards.
Hooroo, Jillian.
Thanks, Jillian.
Lisa, this is a variety show. So in the spirit of that, we want to obviously, make you feel comfortable, but we also want to understand what you're going to bring to our variety show. So do you have any skills or go-to party tricks you can bring to Boost?
No, not none that I can visually display or verbally display. I have very hidden skills or hidden talents that people would just laugh at. So I have a qualification in cheese.
Wow.
I know that's the strangest thing. People go, yeah, do you have a degree? Yeah, I have a degree in media and communication studies, but I also have a qualification in cheese. It was more a diploma that I did as I was studying while I was still working in like a supermarket. They sent us on this course and it was absolutely crazy. But yes, I have a qualification in cheese. So anything you need to know about cheese, I'm the woman for it.
Okay, that is a major party trick. That is a huge value add to this variety show. I need to know, what is your favorite cheese?
So I'm quite a plain Jane, as it would be, in terms of I like a really strong, mature cheddar. A really strong one with a real punch, with some pickles and all that type of stuff on the side.
I'm feeling a
Amazing.
Bouche charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, enough with the homage to fromage. Let's get into the show.
All right, so
Amazing.
Lisa, I want to ask about your other degree and what you've maybe been using that for. So tell us a little bit about your role at Teleperformance.
Absolutely. So I am a very long title, Senior Vice President of Employee Engagement and Diversity, Equity and Inclusion for Teleperformance Group. So if I needed a name badge, it would be huge. My role ultimately is to help translate the voice of our people. So we have in excess of employees that work for us, and it's about making sure the experience and the way we engage and interact with our employees every single day is flawless, and how we bring people together, how we make sure that we are inclusive and diverse of everybody. We have a saying at TP, which is we're the united cultures of teleperformance, and that diversity is our strength. And it absolutely is the case. Myself and the team, we absolutely drive not just the continuous listening from our employees, but also the health and wellness, from physical, emotional and mental health, but also how we are a more inclusive employer based on either our backgrounds, based on our preferences, or even based on what we look like as individuals as well. It's a huge role, and I absolutely love it.
So I am actually just going to pull a quote from your LinkedIn for a second here. I'm sorry for lurking a little bit.
No, it's fine.
You say, if you look after your employees' physical, mental, financial, and emotional health, and of course you can have fun with it, you've cracked it. So I want to hear a little bit about how you came to this conclusion.
Yeah, so I've worked in this industry for in excess of 20 years and have seen really great cultures and values that absolutely resonate and really, really bad ones. And the crux of that statement that obviously I've made there is everything always comes back to the way employees feel. If you look after your employees, they'll look after the business for you. And I think over the course of the last 3 years, some of the key things during the pandemic have been that people have really struggled with their physical, emotional health, and their mental health, because what their life as they knew it then seemed to disappear overnight. So what's been really, really paramount over the course of the last 3 years, more than anything, has been if you focus on those few fundamentals, look after your people, listen to your people, react based on what it is that they're asking for, as well as that statement, have a little bit of fun along the way, your people will want to do more for the organization. Your people will be happy, so they will flourish. They will show that encouragement to others and that happiness to others, which then will just ripple through. You spread a little tiny bit of gratitude and help somebody with their emotional or mental health, they will then tell a colleague and tell a colleague and tell a colleague, and it ripples through. And we've absolutely seen that at Teleperformance.
And I truly hope that happens, because I think right now attrition is huge. It's a massive topic right now, particularly in our space. So I really want to understand, how does employee engagement and success lead to a reduction in attrition?
In terms of from an employee engagement, is if your people are happy, they have no reason to leave an organisation. People buy into people, and you will be able to cast your mind back to times where you've worked for a leader or a manager in an organisation that has been somebody that you have learned from, that you have felt amazing by, that has nurtured you and encouraged you to be a huge success. But you'll also probably have examples of leaders that you always remember and you dread the thought of thinking about that individual that put you down or didn't make you feel special in your role or didn't appreciate the work that you did. So employee engagement is the first part of that, in terms of if we look after our people, as I said before, they will absolutely look after the organisation and the business. Happy employees, we know and have seen this and have got correlations in our data to show the happier the employee, the less chance of them leaving the organisation. The higher, the greater chances that they will perform at a higher level, which obviously for organisations, any business means a higher increase in revenue and a decrease in attrition. So it's about making people feel welcome. It's about making people feel they have a sense of belonging. And also that they can be themselves. And this is the critical thing. And one of the key catalysts that I absolutely drive across Teleperformance and all of our leaders do is we want people to come to work without having to put a mask on. We want people to be proud and to be open about who they are as an individual and actually create Teleperformance as that safe space. They may not have that in their home surroundings or in their group of friends outside of work, but absolutely in Teleperformance, we make people feel as part of a community, as part of a wider family unit.
I've seen that firsthand, Lisa. I actually visited Teleperformance in Mumbai a few years ago and spent a few days there. And what you're saying isn't just talk. Like, I really witnessed the people that came to the office. It was a community, and when they got together, they were so excited to see each other and just be a part of it. It was something I hadn't really witnessed before. It was almost like they were relieved to be coming to work, which was something I was just fascinated by. I thought it was incredible.
One of the key things to note is obviously as we went through and we're now coming out of the side of the pandemic, is lots of people that were those individuals that were social butterflies that loved to be in that buzz of an environment, and you will have witnessed this when you were in Mumbai, is that buzz and that environment is like nothing in other industries. It doesn't exist. And people absolutely loved it. And then having to go from workplace to workspace to sit in your kitchen on your own with nobody to talk to other than the customers or the individuals you were liaising with, for some people really, really affected their mental health in a negative way. And that's where, from an employee engagement point of view, and myself and the wider team, it was critical that we kept people together, albeit in a virtual world, but that we kept people together with clubs and activities and virtual groups and yoga classes and mental health webinars and all that type of stuff to really, really make sure that people didn't feel isolated.
Yeah, it's so important because, I mean, we spend so much of our time at work, first of all, but then I think something that has really come to light during the pandemic is just how, you know, work is, of course, affected by life and life is affected by work. So they need, 100%. To an extent, be intertwined, and you need to be able to function both in your life and in your work.
One of the key things, and this is something that really, really resonated with me, is especially during the pandemic, I had 3 children at home. So there was my husband in the lounge, I'm sat in the kitchen and trying to homeschool 3 children. As you can imagine, just trying to get through your day job during all of it was tough, but then trying to homeschool 3 children. And some of the activities and some of the stuff that some of our teams across the world did was creating activity packs for children. So we have regional little projects called TP Tots and TP Teens. It started in the UK and then has grown. And that was creating like little activity packs for parents to give to their children to just try and keep them busy in order for them to, do you know what, just drink a hot coffee rather than it be lukewarm, or just to help them a little tiny bit. And it's little tiny things like that. And I always have a saying, it's the little things that make a difference. And if we live by 3 simple values as an individual, which is be good, be nice, be kind, if we do that to ourselves first and foremost, to our friends and family and to the people we work with, we should have a really, really harmonious world that we live in. It doesn't happen in all instances, but if we do that to the people that we work with, we respect them, and then all of our TP values then come to play around professionalism, integrity, commitment, respect. And they're all basic fundamentals of what makes us a huge success at TP.
Oh, I love that. And that program sounds amazing. You know, all of these things are such big words. And it's like, okay, so what does it look like in practice? And it's like, okay, it's about the little things of how can I support my family and your family. When you're talking about attrition and, you know, thinking about the leaders that someone has had. And of course, you've got folks that have been really inspiring leaders, then also the folks that maybe you didn't jive as well with. And I want to hear your take on what you think the manager, like the direct supervisor, direct manager's role is in attrition. Because I've seen things like, oh, people leave managers, they don't leave jobs. What do you think of something like that?
So I 100% agree with what you've just said, is people will leave an organization because they don't feel that they're treated fairly or equally, or they don't feel they're getting the support that they need. Ultimately, it's for businesses as large as ours to be able to support that. But the way we support it at Teleperformance is by equipping our managers and our leaders to be people leaders. Ultimately, if you have a team of 20 people, every single one of those 20 people are slightly different. They're all different in character. They're all different based on their age, their gender, the colour of the skin, their preferences. And actually, it's about understanding a connection with the people that work for you, having conversations and getting to know your team outside of the day-to-day work of performance or tasks or meetings. And it's understanding how to have a well-being conversation and to just have a virtual coffee with an individual to see how they're feeling, but also to be able to make sure that you understand as a leader what makes the people that work for you tick. So where are their strengths? Where are their development areas? How can you mentor them as a leader to really flourish in those development areas? And how can you push people that work for you outside of that comfort zone in order to be able to watch them thrive? How do you become a brand ambassador of your people that work for you? So it absolutely is around better understanding the people that work for you and supporting them as much as you need to. Every person may have different needs, different requirements, and it's about trying to accommodate those requirements as much as possible. You can't manage one person the same as you manage another.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's no longer about forcing a company's goals down onto people, but instead saying, well, you've got your own individual goals. How do the goals of this company align, and how can we help? By you achieving our goals, we help you achieve your goals. This really symbiotic relationship that is definitely something I think is new. It's definitely something that we've seen shift over the years. I think it's about employee growth as well. So employee growth is huge for us. It's something we're really passionate about, and we definitely want to see people progress. In this world where we've got huge attrition, do you think that employee growth and development can also help mitigate retention?
1,000,000%, absolutely. If somebody feels valued and that they are being developed as an individually, personally, and also professionally, it absolutely can help in terms of improve retention rates across organisations, but also can have a positive impact then on succession planning. And also on behaviours and attitudes as well. And by that, what I mean is, if you've got an individual that works for you that has really been struggling on a personal level, so their work is absolutely amazing and they do a great job every day, but on a personal level, they've got a couple of concerns. If you can support your employee by, one, listening, which is the key part of growth and development of that individual, is you will automatically start to see a greater sense of loyalty, a greater sense of belonging, but also they as individuals know that you're there to support them. Being a leader in an organisation and developing an employee isn't just based on professional and what you need to get out of it from an organisation. Yes, we have to, as organisations, obviously make revenue and still be successful. But if we, as I said before, if we look after our people and we develop them in that professional and that personal viewpoint, it will reap rewards in terms of greater retention of our staff, because people will see that they have career opportunities or see that they can develop in other skills that they've not necessarily been able to develop before.
Well, I think that's fascinating. The example you used of, a really high performing person at work that's maybe struggling in their personal life. And what I'm hearing is you're saying, okay, we've got to make sure that we're also meeting them there on the personal side. How are you and your team bringing that side into people leadership? Like how are you bringing that to managers to, first look out for and say, hey, this is something that we want to take care of, and, and giving them the tools to do it?
The critical thing for leaders in organizations, and that's in any industry, it's not just within our industry, is it's that balance. We have to manage the balance between performance and business needs and individual needs. And for us, the key priorities that we're absolutely looking at is how we equip our managers. And when I say managers, I'm actually referring to people leaders, because if you lead your people down the right path and you lead your people in the right way, they will then perform at exceptional levels and do an amazing job. And what we're trying to do, and we're making huge inroads into this across the organisation, is equipping our leaders to have mental health conversations, to have really difficult conversations with employees where they may struggle to talk about how they're feeling, but also to be able to make sure that performance conversations are conversational. We try and keep it as consistent as we can, but the way you would have a performance conversation with an employee in India versus in Egypt would be very different, because culturally they are very different as a workforce that we have in Teleperformance. So for us, it's understanding the cultures in each of our 90 plus countries that we operate in, and then understanding with the experts in those countries the best way to have conversations around emotional health, mental health, physical health, performance, just general engagement and bringing people together as well. So I think all of those things combined make the glue of employee engagement that brings everything together.
I really like what you said there about making performance conversations conversational. How are you finding that, particularly in a hybrid environment? How are you helping them become more conversational when that hybrid environment often leads to something that is a bit more formal?
I think it's a balance. I think we still will absolutely have that formal route, but one of the things that we're absolutely encouraging our leaders to do is to make sure that they're taking those like coffee break chat. So before you'd have like the water cooler chat, or you'd go and have a coffee and you'd have 5 meetings in the diary in a day because you'd be moving from meeting room to meeting room. One of the things that we've seen absolutely for our leaders across the organisation is there's 5-minute gaps between meetings, and those 5-minute gaps are literally nip to the loo, grab a drink, grab a bite to eat, and then get back on ready for the next call. So we're trying to do things like encourage people to take wellbeing time every single day. And I know myself and my direct team and the team that work closely with me, we have an hour scheduled out every day. And what we try and do is to say, make sure you take lunch away from your desk, make sure that you grab yourself a drink, go for a walk, do a spot of gardening, have a nap, whatever it is that you want to do during that time. But it's super critical that you're not literally trying to cram in call after call after call after call. We use features within Teams like focus time. So within Microsoft Teams, there's a function where you can program in that you get so much focus time per week. So I think for us, it's about making sure that we're setting expectations, and we absolutely are setting that with our leaders, and creating, one of the things we've created is a inclusive meeting toolkit. And that includes things like, for example, you have somebody like myself who openly comes out and shares that I have dyslexia. If I'm being asked to read a document that's 20 pages long, it will take me longer to read that versus if it was something that was audible and I could then just listen to it. And actually what the virtual hybrid world has given us is it gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of, one, how we communicate with our staff, but also how we can manage things like employees with neurodiverse conditions. to make sure that we're supporting them as much as we possibly can. So video clips versus text and audio, making sure that we're supporting employees in various different ways based on the needs of those individuals, which beforehand, yes, we were doing it, yes, we were looking at it, but it didn't seem at the top of priority list when it came to having conversations with employees. Whereas now employees are saying, I have autism and I really, really struggle moving from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. So we go, right, we're going to use the meeting inclusive toolkit, which is 15 minutes before a meeting. You have time to prepare. 15 minutes after a meeting, you have debrief time before you even think about moving into your next one.
Wow.
Well, cool. I feel like you just outlined, both the benefits and some of the drawbacks of this hybrid working. And what I'm hearing is like creating some of these frameworks that can best support folks. Like when the pandemic started, we also use Teams and Outlook daily. And when the pandemic started, I was getting these digests each week of like, oh, what was your focus time? How many meetings do you have outside of your hours? And it was like this reflection back to me of not really always working within hours only, or, overlapping meetings and all of that. And so what you're saying about, really factoring in moments for that well-being, or really putting up the guardrails for people to say, hey, this is important to take care of yourself. I think it's really amazing.
It's like if you get on a plane, they always say, put your own oxygen mask on before you attend to somebody else. And it's exactly that same thing. As an individual and as a leader of people, it's really critical that you look after your own mental health and your own level of confidence, level of engagement, level of energy and empathy. If you look after that for yourself, then you're in a better position to be able to support others that you work with.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's probably my mind-blown moment right there. The last couple of years, there's been all this talk of the future of work, and we've arrived. We're at the future of work now. All the things, we've gone through. We are hybrid. There's new ways of working. What do you think the next future looks like? What do you think might be some of the future challenges and opportunities beyond what we're seeing today?
People have become accustomed now to the virtual world and the Teams meeting and Zoom meetings and back-to-back. It's now really truly understanding that proper work-life balance, and organisations being able to still move forward at speed and still be disruptive in the market, but also making sure that they are balancing that work-life balance. People 1,000,000% will flog themselves in terms of they attend meetings, but it's about getting that balance right. And I think the future of work, and there's lots of ideas and there's lots of stuff, especially in the UK at the minute, where there's hundreds of companies that are trying 4-day working weeks. 4-day working weeks may work for some organisations, it may not work for other organisations, but a 4-day working week, in my opinion, and my view, is still not going to sort out work-life balance. It's about organisations understanding the people, listening to the people like we do, listening to what people want to better help them manage their work-life mix, but also what organisations can do to better support employees with their physical, emotional and mental health side as well.
Yeah, you're spot on. I think there's a lot of thinking still yet to be done around what true work-life balance is, because I don't think it's the 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work and 8 hours of play. I think it's got to be flexible.
And 1,000,000%. And do you know what, just to add on that, is work-life balance. And if you say to an employee or say to anybody, what does work-life balance mean? We all have a different view of what that means. We all have a different view of what work-life stress would be, what home stress would be. And that's absolutely fine. It's about us as an organisation understanding what some of those nuances are and being able to try and provide guides and support to our employees of how to better manage some of those things themselves. So to create self-care guides that people can use. So if they're struggling with sleep, they know they've got something to turn to and they've got somebody to talk to should they need to. And I don't think there'll ever be a magic wand that you can wave that will accommodate everybody. Because again, we're all human beings, we're all different, we're all unique in our own ways. And what one person wants may be very different. For us, it's finding that balance between what we can do in the virtual world and what we need to do in the real life world, and where the two of them come together.
No magic wand, but I wish that there were. Lisa, thank you so much. And I need to ask, do you have a little bit of time to stick around and play a game with us?
Absolutely. Depends what game it is, but yeah.
Well, here on Boost, we actually leave it up to a magic 8 ball. So we call this game the Fate of the 8. Fate of the 8, where we look into the magic 8 ball to decide our fate. Will it be a question or will it be a game?
Okay. God, I'm nervous now.
So what we do, we ask the magic 8 ball for some help, because we can never figure out if we're going to ask you questions or play a game. So, Laura, you've got the actual magic 8 ball. Do the honors, please.
All right. Will it be a question? Not at this time. Let's see. Will it be a game? Absolutely. All right, Luke, what game will we be playing with Lisa?
All right, let's do something new. Let's play a game of high-low. So I'm going to ask both of you. Laura, you can join in because you don't know any of these answers. I'm going to throw 3 different stats at you, or 3 different questions, and I want you to tell me whether it's high or low in this regard. Actually, you know what? On this first one, what we're going to do, I'm going to get Laura to give me a number. I currently have in my hot little hands the Contact Center 2022 Best Practice Report from Smart Recruitment. And there's some really interesting stats in here, and I thought this was a good one. Do you think that absenteeism is lower or higher for those working from home? What do you think the answer is?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I am going to say it is lower, actually.
Lisa?
I would say it should be lower, but I think it may be slightly higher.
All right. Well, the answer is lower. It is actually lower by about 52%. Consider it lower. So not that great. So 42% saying it's about the same. So it's pretty close line ball on that one. All right. Second question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how engaged do you believe the majority of staff currently feel? Do you think that managers' scores are higher or that frontline employees are higher?
I would say that frontline is probably higher than managers.
And I was going to go the other way, actually. I think that managers are reporting higher.
Lisa knows her stuff. She's nailed that one.
Nice.
Frontline employees are at 7.8, whereas the contact center managers are saying 7.3. One last question. What percentage of calls do you think is driven by failure? Something's gone wrong and the customer then has to call in.
Wow. I want to say like 85.
Lisa, is that number high or is that number low?
I'd say it's higher.
You think it's higher? Interesting.
I'd say it's higher.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you're both wrong. So it actually came out that around 35% of all 35. Calls are driven by failure demand. There you go.
We end up with a nice tie, Lisa. I'll take
a nice
that.
tie.
Absolutely,
well
absolutely. I felt under pressure then. Gosh.
Yeah, you should. No. Lisa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on Boost. We just have a few things before you go. Firstly, where can our amazing audience find you online?
I am absolutely on LinkedIn, and if you search for Lisa Dolan, you'll see my little posing face, and that absolutely is a staged photo. People can absolutely reach out to me via the LinkedIn chat for us to be able to obviously have conversations and network.
Nice. And most importantly, Lisa, what is your number one rule for employee engagement? Listen,
act, and improve. So they would be the three little phrases that I would absolutely go. Listen to your employees, act on what they're saying, and improve their experience for them.
Well, I've already kind of let everyone know what my mind blown moment was, but I really think that it comes down to what Lisa was saying around, you've got to put your own oxygen mask on first before you give it to others. I think that's, it's a really good reminder to managers that you've got to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. I think that's really, really important in this day and age right now. What about you, Laura?
Yeah, my mind blown moment was in this idea of moving from workplace to workspace. Organizations really creating some of these frameworks that help support employees not only in performance, but just in their life as human beings. Super powerful.
Hooroo, I'm Luke.
Goodbye, I'm Laura, and thank you so much for joining us. For more content that will help you elevate your employee experience and performance, you can find us at centrical.com/boost podcast.
Boost.
Oh, you're still here? We thought the audience had cleared out. Well, lucky you stuck around for the encore. Here is a fun moment that didn't make the main stage cut.
Luke, I feel like this is showing my ignorance of Australia, but do you guys have anteaters in Australia?
No, but we do have something that eats ants. It's called an echidna, and it is the cutest little thing. It's got like spikes on its back and a big long nose, and it just sort of waddles everywhere. They are super cute.
Wait, is it a hedgehog?
No. It's much nicer and cuter and doesn't shoot its spines out. It's just, look them up. They're super cute. And the ones down in Tasmania are even cuter because they're like they're furry as well because it's quite cold down there.
How do you spell this? I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. First of all, the spelling was rough, but Google still understood.
I'm way off.
Yeah, it's the ECH. Yeah, that'll get it every time.
But
so are these guys just like hanging around, Luke?
Yeah, there was one actually not far from my house recently. I was on a walk just around the corner and there was one.
They're little, they almost have little fingers.
I'm going to send you guys a video of when I took one just recently.
Yeah, I would love that.